Hey everybody, I am out here walking on the beach at St. Augustine, and it seemed like an appropriate time to talk about traveling with your adopted kids, because if you've had your kids for any length of time, you probably have already figured out that traveling with them isn't necessarily relaxing. Because why? Why is traveling not relaxing? It's because traveling is nothing but transitions, one transition after another. And transitions are one of the most difficult things for adopted kids to deal with because they are traumatized. They have been moved from home to home often. And even if you got your child straight away from the hospital as a baby, trauma has an impact on the brain that causes a lot of issues with transitions. And so you are probably, like I was, frustrated that you are kind of locked down. You can't go a lot of places with your family. Or maybe you're being really courageous and you're doing it anyway, but at least half of the family isn't really having a good time, which means as a mom, you're probably not having a great time either. So I thought it was maybe a good time to talk about traveling and some things that you can do to make it a little bit easier and better. So I'm going to give you 2 tips to help you with travel. And the first one is, if you can, when you travel at first, especially like let's say you're within the first 6 months of adopting your kids, try to go someplace that they're familiar with. So maybe pretty close to home. Try to find some place that's maybe an hour or 2 from where you live. Because honestly, if you were able to just drive there and drive back and show them where you're going to be, and maybe even show them the hotel you're going to stay in, that will go a long way to help them to feel safe. I know Dakota felt very unsafe every time we traveled. Eventually we figured out it was because he said that there were always bad guys crawling through his window when he lived in his biological home. And I don't know exactly if that was true. He was only 3, but that was his perception, that there were bad guys crawling through the windows. And because of that, of course, he was very uncomfortable in new situations when he had to go to sleep, because he knew that you were vulnerable when you slept, and who knows what had happened to him while he was trying to sleep as a little kid. So it was really hard to travel with him. He was not a fun travel companion. But as we got better at parenting him, we realized that giving him a whole lot of information about where he was going to be, showing him pictures of where he was going to be, maybe even trying to see if we could find some pictures of the hotel room. Now, he would almost always complain about it, so you've got to be prepared for that mentally and not react to it. But it did reduce the behaviors that we saw. We also, we discovered pretty early on a supplement. It actually wasn't a supplement. It's a homeopathic medicine, like a mixture called Calms Forte. You can get it in CVS. You can get it on Amazon. And it's a homeopathic mixture of medicines. And now I'm a homeopathic practitioner, but at the time I didn't know anything about homeopathy. And we actually got him off of his sleeping medicine that he took that was very high powered by letting him take this Calms Forte. So that was huge, because then at least he could get through the night and sleep. And that's all natural, by the way, safe for kids. It doesn't have any side effects. It's a homeopathic medicine. So the other thing homeopathically you can do is there is a homeopathic remedy called gelsemium, and it is fantastic for transitions, for people that have a hard time with transitions. We have used it in our house, and it works really, really well. In our case, we just take it on days that we know we're going to be moving around or having a big transition. But you really can, if you want, if it's a chronic issue with your child that they're really struggling with transitions all the time, you could give it to them twice a day for like 2 months and then reevaluate. These are not things that you have to take forever. Typically, they'll help you uproot whatever the issue is, and then you can move on with your life. It's not like a allopathic drug. You would get that on Amazon. It's you're going to want to get the 30C potency. And just a little disclaimer here, I'm not a doctor. If you have any questions, you need to direct them to your physician. He probably won't know anything about it, honestly, but but if he does, then that's helpful. But I'm not a doctor and I'm not prescribing anything, and that's my disclaimer. So you can do what you want. I'm trying to think if there's any other tips that we learned when we were traveling. I kind of did this as kind of a last minute thing because I was walking and I was like, oh, this would be a good place to do a video on travel. Making sure that you have a lot of structure to your day when you're driving, getting them, making sure that you've got, books to listen to, and try to avoid TV, try to avoid giving them devices or letting them watch movies on iPads or whatever. I know that's always what kids want to do, but that will create more of a problem for you when you arrive at your destination. So try to do things like audiobooks and travel games and things like that. That's way more helpful, and it sets the brain up for success instead of setting it up to have that feeling like they need to regulate using television. An interesting thing about TV and video games, that just to throw it in here, I read an article, and I can't cite where the article came from, but what they were saying is that when a child watches TV or plays video games, it actually releases something in their brain that is like mimics the hormone that is released when a child is attaching to its mother. And that's one reason why adopted kids are so prone to addiction as far as TV, video games, phones, because they're searching for that feeling that they didn't get when they were babies. And there's so much more I could say about that and go into ways that you can, actually recreate that hormonal release in their brains. But this is about travel. It's not about that. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. It's been a little rambly, but it's pretty here. So maybe that's been helpful, just to see someplace pretty. And as always, I want to say to you that what you're doing is important and it matters, and you're not in this alone. I'm with you, and I am so happy and eager to help you because I know what it feels like to be you, and I know how dark it can be. And people are always super happy about adoption, which of course we all are, especially in the beginning. But the reality is that adoption is very difficult. It's a difficult road to travel, and it's okay to acknowledge that. So you're safe with me. You can acknowledge that. And I can tell you that my kids love me and I love them, and they're adults and they're functioning in society, and they're doing things that people their age do. So there is hope. We were told that they would be institutionalized by the time they were 13 in the adoption interview. So it shows what they know. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. And remember that what you're doing matters and you're not alone. I'll talk to you later. Bye.